and welcome to the sensory activities for the week of October 5th. We're going to be making some really fun little straw and zip tie flowers. So that's the first thing we're going to do today. I did not include zip ties in your learning kit, but if you have any lying around, or you can just grab some at the hardware store next time you're there. And what you do is we're going to be using the feathers too, so you're going to need a zip tie, you're going to need a pipe cleaner, you're going to need your straws, and your feathers. And what you do is, let's go ahead and cut a couple straws in half. You can kind of eyeball it. And I'm going to do another one. And I have this one, and I'm going to do, let's do 4, 5, 6, 7. That's probably good enough. Actually, you know what? We'll do one more. Let's do pink. So let's see. Probably have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9 or 10 is good. And then you're going to hold them like this, and you're going to start feeding your zip tie in. And if it's not making that clicking sound, then you need to do the other side. There, it's starting to hear that. So now you're going to hold your straws like this, and you're just going to wrap them around here, wrap them around the straws till it's kind of tighter, like that. And then you're going to really squeeze it as tight as it'll go. And look at that. You see that? And you can spread them out a little bit. And then you've got this really cool, crazy flower. And then what you can do is you can take your pipe cleaner and you can wrap it around the zip tie and make more of a stem to your flower. And then this is, you're going to be wrapping it around like this. You're wrapping the pipe cleaner around the zip tie. Okay. Now you've got this. This is kind of like, this reminds me of Dr. Seuss. It's like a Dr. Seuss tree or a Dr. Seuss flower. So now you're at this point, and now you're going to be putting some feathers on the ends of some of the straws. Isn't that just crazy delightful? They could show off this one at morning meeting. I would love to see some of these. So let's see, I'm going to put in a couple feathers. I'm going to push them in about halfway so they stay. And I'll put another one here. And so on, right? Cute, right? You can also do a smaller one by doing the same thing and then just cutting them in half again. So it would look like this. So half and then half again. And I'm just going to do one other color just to show you guys how. Half again. Okay, and then you're just going to be holding them like this. You're going to be holding them like this. And then you're going to get your zip tie, and you're going to start feeding it through. And this one's going the wrong way. And you can hear that sound. That means it's going the right direction. So then you're just going to wrap it around the same way you did. Just wrap it around like this. And then you're just going to squeeze it as hard as you can. Boom. Look at that. Isn't that cute? Okay. So that is your Dr. Seuss straw zip tie feather creation. Good one, right? All right. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do some watercolor painting with a straw. This is another straw activity. So you're gonna need your watercolors, some water. Here, let's get this. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna get a mat. I just have this recycled mat here that I'm not using. And then I'm using a piece of printer paper. And so what you're gonna do is you're going to have your water and you're gonna have set them up with some water. And they are going to start by wetting their little paintbrush that comes with it really good, and they're gonna pick a color. I think I'm gonna do pink. So they need to rub it around really good for 10, counting to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you have all this wonderful paint, and you're going to scoop it up, and you're going to roll your paintbrush and try to get as much of the paint off onto the paper. I have a blob of watercolor there now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dunk my paintbrush one time in the water and add it to the blob of paint and dunk it in one more time and add it to the blob of paint. So now I have kind of a thick blob of paint with 2 blobs of water in it. And now you'll take a half a straw, you're going to cut a straw in half, and this is what you're going to use to blow the paint. And you can see it makes these wonderful trails. And you turn the paper. And this looks like it could use one more little blob of water here. And now I'm going to blow it in another direction. So you can see you do that in a few different little blobs of color, and then you end up with this really beautiful creation. So let's do another one. So make sure the paintbrush is really wet. I'm gonna do this turquoise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've got a bunch of beautiful paint there. I'm gonna make a blob of it on my paper. Just try to put some of that on there. And then I'm gonna go back and do one dip and add it to the blob of color. And then I'm gonna do another dip and add it to the blob of color. Now I've got this nice painty, watery little puddle that I'm gonna blow on. You see that? Okay? So they can do that with any color, and they can do combinations of color. So they can do, let's see, I just did the blue one. What could I add to the blue to make it interesting? Why don't I try making a blob of darker color blue on it? And I can combine it, making sure I have plenty of paint. I'm gonna blob it on top of that last one I did. I'm gonna add a couple blobs of water, and I can do one on top of that other one. And you can see the trails go sometimes all the way across the paper. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? All right. So when that dries, you could add some marker to it. You can go back and revisit this and add some ink to it, add some marker, add some crayon to it, but I just think this is such a neat effect. So that is our straw and watercolor painting. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys a little science experiment. Little science experiment, okay? So what that is we are going to, let me move all my other stuff out of the way. And here we go. So you're going to need a cookie sheet. You're going to need a cookie sheet. You're going to need a penny that is old and faded, not a shiny penny. You need to find a really well-worn, darker penny like that, okay? So what you're gonna do first is you've got your white vinegar, you've got your salt, you've got a measuring cup and a teaspoon, okay? So here's what you're gonna do first. You're going to add a 1/4 cup. And we practiced with measurement a couple weeks ago, so you can be revisiting that. We're gonna pour a 1/4 cup. So I'm looking at my lines. It's actually the lowest line on my cup, 1/4 cup right there. I'm gonna pour that much vinegar in. Okay. And then I'm gonna pour in 2 teaspoons of salt. So this is a teaspoon, it's not a tablespoon, it's the smaller one. And I'm going to pour in a teaspoon. There's 1 teaspoon, and here comes another teaspoon. All right, now we're gonna let this sit. I'm gonna go on to our next project, and then we're gonna come back. But what you need to do is stir in the salt and the vinegar, and you're gonna let it slowly dissolve. It's gonna take a minute. So I'm just gonna let it go be and let that salt dissolve in the vinegar for a little bit. And then I'm gonna come back and stir it a couple more times after a couple minutes of it dissolving. So while we're waiting for that, we are going to be making some shakers. Now, we are starting to have music on Mondays, and I thought it would be fun for the kids to be able to have their shakers when we're doing our songs. So I have 2 kinds of shakers here. What you will need is 2 toilet paper rolls. You'll need a stapler and some masking tape and some rice or grain, lentils, anything like that. I have rice here. And 3 or 4 glass blobs, okay? So the first one, and when they're done with these, they can paint them. They're super cute. So for the first one, you're making this kind of shaker. So you're just gonna have them make a couple staples on the edge here. I'm putting a staple there, and I'm putting one on that side, okay? And then you drop in your 3 or 4 blobs, okay? And then you're gonna close this one up this way, the other direction. And you're gonna close it, and you're gonna put your staples in. And now we've got a nice shaker. We'll be picking out some songs, and we can make some nice noises with our shaker. And then with our toilet paper roll, we can also make another kind of shaker. Much different sound. You notice that? So for this one, you're going to use your masking tape. I wonder how my salt is it starting to dissolve? It is. I'm going to give it another little stir here while we're finishing up our shakers. Okay, so for this shaker, all you're doing is just putting some tape, some layers of tape on one end like this. And you're just going to go across. And you're just going to take a few pieces of tape. And you're going to go ahead and keep covering it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to put a couple more layers on. So it's nice and strong. And then one more across here. And then the last thing I do on this side is that I put one more piece around it so that that tape stays nice and secure. So I'm just going to go around it and just make sure all that tape is nice and okay. So I've got my first side. You see that? I just put tape one way, across, across again, across again, across again, a couple more, and then wrapped it all around with one more long piece. And then you're going to put in your rice. You're going to want to go about half full, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to put a piece of tape across this way in the middle, and do another one going the other way, and another one going this way, and so on. Okay, and then the one around the middle, around the whole side, and there's your shaker. Okay, Derby, move please. Sorry, honey. All right, I just got photobombed by my cat. All right, so there you have. You have your shakers. And we'll be using these at music on Monday. So we'll see if we get to those. If not, we'll just do it for another song. Maybe we can use our shakers during morning meeting, and I'll play a song and we can use our shakers then too. And here we go. Let's look back at our little science experiment. So I see that my salt is pretty much dissolved. You see how it's clear now? It was cloudy before, and now it's clear. And here's what I'm going to do. I have my old penny. This one is from 1970. It's 50 years old. It's a 50-year-old penny. It's really old. So I'm going to put it in my vinegar and salt, and I'm going to stir it around with my spoon for a little while, and you can start to see that it's starting to change color. It's starting to look like a much more new penny. I'm going to let it sit in here for another few seconds, and I am seeing a big difference here. And what do you think? Here it is. Look at that. It looks almost new. It's all shiny now. The longer you keep it in there, the more shiny and new it'll look. Maybe even 5-10 minutes. Pretty cool, right? All right, my friends, that's our sensory activities. Oh, I do have one more sensory activity. Here. I'm going to turn you around this way. And I have made some I have my tape here, and I'm using my tape, and I'm using my coins. All right, and what I did was I made some numbers on these pillows here. You could make the numbers just straight on the rug or the hardwood floor with your masking tape. It's easy to take it right off afterwards. But I have a 1 here, a 5, a 10, and a 25. So I'm going to be trying to throw my coins in the right place and have them be able to stay. So I have a 10 here. I'm going to try putting some dimes on that pillow. I'm throwing them from here. Maybe I can see if I can throw a nickel in this one. I can throw them and it stays. Penny. Okay, this has gotten too easy for me. Oh, that one did not stay on. Let's see if I can go all the way back here to the quarters. I'm going to throw a quarter on it. It stayed. Ooh, that one's about to fall out, but it stayed. And then they're going to scoot back a little bit. Challenge themselves a little bit more. How many dimes can they put on the 10 pillow? How many pennies can they put on the 1 pillow? Oh, that one didn't stay. Nickels and quarters. All right, a fun little target practice game. To learn more about money. All right, everybody, have fun.